Hey friends, have you ever thought about how small changes can totally transform your life? In today's video, we're going to talk about a book that teaches you how tiny habits can change everything. I'm talking about James Clear's famous book, Atomic Habits, which has become a favorite for millions around the world. This book shows us that you don't need a huge push to reach big goals. Instead, it's the small, consistent habits that really make the difference. Whether you want to improve your health or your career, whether you want to move forward or improve your personal life, this book is for everyone. In this video, I'll explain the most important points from this book in simple Hindi. You'll learn how to build good habits and get rid of bad ones, why small habits are the foundation of big success, and how you can stick to your habits for the long haul. So if you want to bring positive changes to your life and make your daily routine better, make sure to watch this video till the end. Let's get started. Atomic. Let's dive into the amazing journey of habits and take the first step toward a better and successful life. The surprising power of atomic habits. Just think about the things you do every day. Now, ask yourself why you do those things and what kind of trouble you'd face if you didn't do them. Most of us have the habit of brushing our teeth every morning. If you skip brushing for 2 days, your mouth will start to smell bad, and you won't like that. In other words, brushing gives you a reward that keeps you doing it every day. To prove this, some psychologists did an experiment on a monkey. They locked the monkey in a cage and placed a lever and a computer in front of it. Whenever red lines appeared on the computer screen and the lever was pulled, the monkey got fruit to eat. Over time, the monkey understood this and started paying close attention to the screen. As soon as it saw the red lines, it would pull the lever and get fruit as a reward. That's how it kept doing the task again and again to get the treat. To get anything done, we need a why, something that tells us it's time to do that thing. For example, some people turn to alcohol to relieve stress. Whenever they feel stressed, that's their why, telling them it's time to drink. After that, every action comes with a reward, which is why we keep doing it over and over. When that person feels relief after drinking, the next time they get stressed, they think about drinking again. Almost every habit follows the same pattern. Some bad habits give us comfort or fun for a little while, but in the long run, they end up harming us. Still, we keep doing them because we want that quick reward. We just can't stop ourselves. Would you believe that small changes can create huge miracles in your life? Let me tell you a story that proves this. In 2003, British cycling's luck completely turned around. Since 1908, British in the Olympics, cycling had only won 1 gold medal. In 110 years, no British rider had ever won the Tour de France. Their performance was so bad that big bike manufacturers were hesitant to sell them bikes because they feared it would hurt their reputation. But everything changed when the British cycling governing body hired Dave Brailsford. Dave's approach was completely different from other coaches. His strategy was the aggregation of marginal gains. Basically, looking for ways to improve every tiny little thing. Dave made small changes, like with the riders, redesigning the seats to make them more comfortable, using electrically heated overshorts to keep the muscles at the ideal temperature, rubbing the tires with alcohol to improve grip. These small tweaks made a huge difference. Their team dominated the 2008 Beijing Olympics and racked up a bunch of gold medals. Now think about how this happened. Such big success from small changes. That's actually how our habits work too. We often ignore improving by just 1%. But if you improve by just 1% every day, by the end of the year, you'll be 27 times better. You can definitely improve by building better habits. Self-improvement works like compound interest. You won't see changes right away, but over time, the impact grows bigger. The same goes for bad habits too. For example, if you eat an unhealthy meal today, your weight won't jump immediately. But if you keep doing it every day, the negative effects will show up in the long run. That's why the habits you build today decide whether you're moving in the right direction or not. And that's the most important message of Atomic Habits. Small habits lay the foundation for big successes. Your habits shape your identity. Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to quit bad habits, but just as tough to build good ones? We often start with good intentions, but end up failing. There are 2 main reasons for this. 1, we try to change the wrong things, and 2, our approach isn't right. Most people focus on what they want to achieve when starting a change. This is called outcome-based habits. But real change happens when you focus on identity-based habits. Focus on what you want to become. Say, two people want to quit smoking. When offered a cigarette, the first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." That sounds okay. But if you think about it, they still see themselves as a smoker who's just trying to quit. The second person says, "No thanks, I don't smoke." There's a small difference in their answers, but that difference changes their identity completely. The first person, changing for a short time is just a temporary effort. But when someone truly sees themselves as a new person, that's when real change happens. Most people want to improve their lives, but don't work on their identity. The truth is, what you take pride in is what drives you to build new habits. So, you need to decide who you want to become. Once you make that decision, prove that identity over and over by making small changes in your habits. Remember, every time you pick up a good habit, you get closer to that new version of yourself. Every time you quit a bad habit, you move away from your old self. Small changes are what kickstart big transformations. So think about who you want to become and take a step today. Here's how to build better habits in simple steps. Back in 1888, a famous psychologist named Edward Thorndike did an experiment to help explain how our habits form and how they affect our behavior. Thorndike was interested in studying animal behavior, so he did an experiment with cats. They put the cats in a puzzle box that had a door which only opened when the cat pressed a lever or pulled a cord. At first, the cats struggled to get out, sniffing and scratching at the corners. But after a few tries, they learned that pressing the lever opened the door. Repeated practice made their behavior perfect. Thorndike concluded that we repeat behaviors that lead to satisfying results and drop those that don't. This principle applies to how we form habits. The process can be broken down into 4 simple steps. 1. Cue. It's a signal that triggers your brain to start behavior. 2. Craving. This is the motivational force that creates a desire for the reward in your brain. 3. Response. This is the action you take to satisfy that craving. 4. Reward. This is the ultimate goal of the habit, giving you satisfaction and a sense of learning. If any of these steps are weak, it becomes hard to form a habit. The Man Who Didn't Look Right is the story of a female paramedic. At a family gathering, he noticed his father-in-law wasn't looking well and immediately advised him to go to the hospital. It turned out one of his main arteries was blocked, and timely treatment saved his life. This story shows how our brain works like a prediction machine, picking up on little details and recognizing patterns. Paramedics, for example, learn to spot signs of a heart attack through constant practice. Similarly, when you practice regularly, your brain starts to do the same. Signs that you're starting to notice patterns that predict results. Pay attention to your current habits. Before picking up new habits, analyze your old ones. This can be tough because old habits have become automatic. Make a list of your daily habits. Go through each one and ask yourself if it's good, bad, or neutral. Remember, there's no need to change anything right now. Just accept what you do. Don't blame yourself or praise yourself for success. Behavior change always begins with awareness. It happens that when you recognize your habits, only then are you ready to improve them. Start small, but keep trying consistently. These habits will shape your future. The best way to start a new habit. Have you ever wondered why starting a new habit feels so hard? Today, we'll understand the answer through an interesting study. In 2001, some researchers in Great Britain conducted a study on 248 people. The aim of this study was to find out how better exercise habits can be formed. They divided the study into 3 different groups. The first group was a control group. They were only asked to track how often they exercised. The second group was the motivation group. Along with tracking their exercise, they were asked to read some books about exercising. They were also told that working out reduces the risk of coronary heart disease and improves heart health. The third group was the planning group. Just like the second group, they were given motivation, but in addition, they were asked to make a plan for when and where they would exercise. They were given we were asked to write a statement like, "Next week, on this day, at this time, and at this place, I will do at least 20 minutes of hard exercise." In the first and second groups, 33 to 35% of people worked out at least once a week. But in the third group, 81% of people worked out at least once a week. This change happened simply because the third group made a clear and specific plan. Researchers call this an implementation intention. It's a plan that decides beforehand when and where you will take action. Many people think they don't have. Lack of motivation is often the reason people don't start new habits. But the truth is they're not clear about their goals or when and where to take action. It's not obvious. The first rule of behavior change is to make it obvious. When you create clear cues for your habits and design a precise plan, you're way more likely to stick to them. So if you want to start a new habit, first make it clear and practical. Know exactly when and where you'll do it. That's the easiest and most effective way to start a new habit. Motivation comes after. Overrated environment often matters more. Have you ever thought that your habits depend not just on your intentions and motivation, but also on the environment around you? There's an interesting story that proves this. At Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, a primary care physician, Dr. Annie Danji, showed how habits can improve without any motivational lectures or discounts. Dr. Annie and her team started a 6-month study focused on changing the choice architecture. First, they changed the way drinks were arranged in the cafeteria, started with a fridge. Only soda bottles used to be kept near the register, but then they started keeping water bottles along with the soda. Not just that, they also made water available at different food stations in the room. The interesting thing is, soda was still available in the cafeteria, but now water was easily accessible everywhere. As a result, within 3 months, soda sales dropped to 11.4%, while water sales went up to 25.8%. They followed the same approach with the cafeteria's food options and saw similar results there too. The notable thing is that the fact that we often don't even notice these changes shows that we usually just accept whatever is in front of us, whether we need it or not. For example, if you walk into the kitchen and see a plate of cookies, chances are you'll start eating them. Even if you're not really hungry, just seeing the cookies makes you want to eat them. Habits form in the same way. Your habits usually depend on where you are and what cues or signals are around you. The environment always has an invisible impact on human behavior. No matter how unique your personality is, your environment tends to encourage certain actions. Unfortunately, a lot of times our surroundings hold us back from picking up new habits because they just don't give the right cues to trigger them. If you want to make a new habit part of your life, design your environment to be full of triggers that prompt that habit. Remember, motivation is just a starting point, but the right environment is what guarantees your success. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. It was the summer of 1830. Victor Hugo, a famous French writer, was struggling with an almost impossible deadline. A year ago, he had promised his publisher he'd deliver a new book, but instead of working on it, he got caught up in other projects. When the publisher realized this, he got really angry and gave Hugo a strict new deadline. Now he had only 6 months to finish the book by February 1831. The big question was, how was Hugo going to meet this deadline? Victor Hugo came up with a unique way to do it. Apnea gave all his clothes to his assistant and strictly instructed him to lock them away. After that, Hugo had no clothes left to go outside. So if you really want to stick to something, create an environment around you that motivates you to keep up those habits. And if you want to avoid bad habits, make it hard to get to them. Remember, good habits form when they're easy and necessary, and bad habits fade away when they become impossible. So next time you're struggling with a deadline or trying to build a habit, remember Victor Hugo's method. You can change your circumstances and reach your goals too. How to stick with good habits every day. Are you ready? Do you know the easiest and most effective way to stick to your good habits for a long time? Let's start with an inspiring story about Benjamin Franklin. When Franklin was in his 20s, he carried a small booklet with him every day. In this booklet, he had listed 13 personal good habits and behaviors. One of these goals was lose no time, which means don't waste time. Always keep yourself busy doing something useful. At the end of each day, Franklin would open his booklet and review his progress, checking how well he did. It showed which habits they stuck to and which ones needed improvement. It was their own habit tracker, a simple and effective way to keep tabs on habits. Why is habit tracking so effective? First, it makes habits clear and obvious. Every time you open your habit list, your goals are right there in front of you. It reminds you what to do and how to do it. Second, it makes habits fun and enjoyable. Tracking your progress gives you motivation. Progress itself is one of the strongest motivators, like a to-do list. Checking off tasks or seeing your progress feels really satisfying. This makes habits feel rewarding. Every time you take a step toward your goal, it motivates you to do more. This process gives you the joy of improving yourself. If you want to keep up your good habits, start using a habit tracker. It can be a notebook, an app, or even a simple chart. Make a list of your habits and record your efforts every day. Focus on the small improvements. Give it a try and enjoy your progress. Habit tracking doesn't just help you reach your goals. It also makes the whole journey more satisfying and fun. The key rule for changing behavior is that when something feels rewarding, we naturally want to do it again and again. It makes total sense. Even little moments of happiness send a signal to our brain that says, "This is good. Do it again." For example, take chewing gum. Early chewing gums had no flavor. They were just bland, tasteless resin. But in 1811, flavor was added, which changed everything. The reason it became popular is that when an experience isn't enjoyable, people don't want to repeat it. The Cardinal rule says that experiences that come with rewards get repeated, while those with punishments are avoided. But this rule is a bit tricky. Humans don't just look for satisfaction. They want instant gratification. All habits have different outcomes over time, and these outcomes are often complicated. Bad habits might feel good at first, but in the long run, they have negative effects. Good habits feel tough at first, but over time they pay off. Instant rewards versus future rewards. We humans usually prefer instant gratification over future benefits. That's why most people spend a lot of their time chasing quick pleasures. But the real deal is, instant rewards usually mark the end of behavior. If you want to kick a bad habit, you've got to make the new behavior satisfying and rewarding. When change is fun and enjoyable, it's way easier to stick with it. So when trying to change your habits, make sure good habits feel satisfying and bad habits feel uncomfortable or unsatisfying. Remember, change isn't easy unless it feels enjoyable. The book Atomic Habits teaches us that real change doesn't come from big decisions or huge efforts, but from small habits. These little habits add up over time and shape the direction of our lives. James Clear explains the power of tiny improvements, trying to get just 1% better every day. These small steps eventually lead to big changes. Understand the importance of identity. Connect your identity with new habits. Start seeing yourself as the person you want to become. The 4 laws. Use clarity, attraction, simplicity, and satisfaction to build good habits and break bad ones. Impact of your environment. Change your surroundings to support your success. The right environment helps habits stick. Think long-term. Good habits bring great results over time, while bad habits may feel good short-term but harm you in the long run. Atomic Habits. It's not just a book, but a guide that shows you the right way to bring change in your life. It teaches us that the secret to success isn't in big plans, but in small habits. Focus on your small decisions and daily routines. Every big change starts with a tiny step. Start a new habit today and watch how, over time, it makes you a better person. If this message inspires you, be sure to share it with your friends. Remember, your small habits are the foundation of your biggest dreams. Thank you